What's going on, YouTube? So this generation of the Hyundai Santa Fe made a huge splash when it was first unveiled because of just how different it was from the previous generation.
And that journey continues for 2026 because Hyundai is doing some major updates across the lineup.
So, is this the SUV you should put in your driveway? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's go ahead and start off with a quick spec dump. Now, there's actually some changes to the powertrains underneath of the hood here. You still have a gas and a hybrid powertrain option. However, the gas option now ditches the dual clutch automatic transmission and replaces it with a traditional 8-speed automatic transmission for 2026. We also have the hybrid model, which is the 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with electric power, making 231 horsepower. It has a 6-speed automatic transmission on this version, and this one has 34 mpg combined with all-wheel drive.
Now, the base price for 2026 is $34,800, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we'll show you the performance of this out on the road. We'll also get things like our sound level reading, and at the end, discuss resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior and the interior and talk about the changes along the way. Now, getting into the exterior here, I want to go ahead and start off by talking about some trim level adjustments that they have made. So one of the 2026 changes is that the hybrid model now has an SE. So that serves as the new base model, kind of lowers the price of the hybrid. It means that you can get the hybrid powertrain on every single trim level except the XRT. Now, speaking of the XRT, for 2026, that rugged trim level will now get the gloss black grille instead of the one that has a little bit more of the chrome accenting. Now, as far as the grille itself, as you can see, very boxy design on the Santa Fe. That really goes across the entire lineup. You've got that repeating H motif across all the models. This is the calligraphy, though, so it has a lot of nice elements like the blacked out badging. As far as the lighting is concerned, we have the really nice projector, full LED headlights. That's standard equipment. You also have the H-shaped daytime running light and turn signal indicator, as well as the light bar that runs across the entire front. And then as we move around to the rear, the same boxy design does continue for the 2026 model year.
Yeah, and let's break down some of the individual design elements. We have a spoiler up top. We have a wiper integrated underneath. All of our branding is going to be blacked out here on the calligraphy. That gives you a nice premium look. And then as far as our taillights are concerned, as you can see, we have the signature H motif taillight. It is going to be LED for the brake light and turn signal. And then the reverse light is integrated down here in the lower bumper, and that is going to be incandescent. Now, while I'm down here in the lower area, I do want to mention tow rating, 2,000 pounds for the hybrid model. You can get up to 4,500 pounds, though, with the XRT model, which is gas exclusive.
Moving on to the wheels, the sizes are going to vary from 18 inches to 21-inch alloy wheels. Here on the hybrid calligraphy model, we have a 20-inch multi-spoke contrast wheel. It looks pretty similar to the one you get on the gas model, but it is 1 inch smaller than the maximum size you can get on the traditional gas model. I really like the way this looks, especially with the gloss black accenting around the wheel arches. Now, as far as the mirrors are concerned, every Santa Fe will come with heating and blind spot monitoring. If you want power folding, though, you will have to spring for the limited trim or above.
Now, at the side of the Santa Fe, this vehicle comes in at 190.2 inches long, which does mean it's about 6 or 7 inches shorter than something like the all-new Palisade that is about to come out. Now, as far as the overall side design, it's very square, as you would expect. We have roof rails up here at the top, and we also do have this little cool hand grab area as well. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned for the Santa Fe, you're going to get all of those as standard equipment. The only caveats to that are the advanced safety features such as Highway Drive Assist 2.0, which comes on this calligraphy trim level. But guys, there is a big interior change that we can't wait to show you. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, so let's move to the cabin next. Here's our key fob. It's Hyundai's newest design here that kind of looks like the H logo. You have standard smart entry and remote start on all models. You have to get something besides the base model if you want to get the digital key system. And then we also have smart park here on the loaded model. Now walking up to the vehicle, the mirrors will sense your approach and go ahead and fold out. You just grab behind the handle, that will unlock the door. Now take a look inside this very upscale looking interior. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the seating materials and choices here because this is one of the big changes for 2026. What you're looking at is known as pecan brown. This is a new addition to the Calligraphy trim level. So previously you couldn't get it on the top model, you could just get it on the limited trim. A lot of people apparently were asking about it, so the Hyundai has brought the brown now to the fully loaded Calligraphy model. Now, as far as the other trims and the materials you're going to get, you start with cloth seats, you move to a faux leather, then you move to a real leather, and then when you get up to this top Calligraphy, this is where you get Napa leather. So as you can see, really nice grade of leather, super soft and supple as well. We've got a ton of adjustments on this top Calligraphy model because we've got the relaxation seat. So you can even fold out things like your footrest right there. You have a power extension. And of course you have memory seats located right there on the door trim as well. But let's go ahead and climb on inside. And then closing up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. I already said it looks very premium, so let's see if the materials match that. We've got a leatherette across the armrest portion, finished in that same brown. We've got a really nice wood trim. I'm actually not sure if this is fake or real, but if it's fake, it's extremely nice imitation. We've got leatherette across the upper door trim, leatherette across the upper dashboard, and through this section, more of the wood is going to go through the center section through here. We've got an Alcantara finish to our headliner, and then a nice leather padding down here against the console for the knee to rest against. And we'll fire it up with a standard push button start. Let's dive into the individual features, starting as always with the gauge cluster. So there's a couple different arrangements that you can get. All of them kind of have this same effect, but only the center section is reconfigurable on your lower trims. Limited and above get the fully reconfigurable gauge cluster you see here, which is 12.3 inches. That also unlocks the blind spot camera system. Now up above on the Calligraphy trim level, that's what gives you the head-up display. And you also get rain-sensing wipers at the limited trim. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, all models will have the leatherette wrapping on board and will be manual tilt and telescoping. Your upper trims also have heating, and I particularly like this two-tone finish. It's super premium looking. Now, turning over here to our console, let's talk about storage because that thankfully is not changing for 2026, and we've always been super impressed by that on this next generation Santa Fe. The reason why is because there's a lot of space. You can actually access this storage from two different directions. I'll access it from the back here so Mason can get the best view. You'll see it's loaded down with donuts. And this goes all the way down and then all the way over. There's actually 24 donuts, the maximum number of donuts. That's really crazy for this midsize SUV segment, and that's why we do the donut test, because that really stands out against all the competition. Now up in front of that, you have two nice and deep cup holders. We also have a giant center pass-through through here. You've got a storage shelf right here, and then there's two more spots, and I want to just talk about these real fast. So you might notice here in the center, you have dual wireless phone charging pads. Calligraphy always had that, but one of the things Hyundai has done is they've actually lowered the availability of this to the lower trim levels. So now the XRT trim level, or the Hybrid Limited, that will get you the dual wireless phone charging pad. However, for 2026, they have eliminated UV sterilization inside of this. So previously you could kind of turn that on, hit your phone or something like that with UV light and get rid of some germs. I guess they figured that Americans don't value that system and they'd prefer to have the wireless charging pad. Now, of course, your shifter is over here out of the way. You're just going to twist up for drive, go down to R for reverse. When you go into reverse, the limited trim and above will give you the 360-degree camera system you see here, as well as front and rear parking sensors. I like the overall nice 3D view as well. It's very similar to what you get on the Genesis products. Just press that P right there for park. The electronic parking brake is located on the other side of the steering wheel. The next place to zero in on is the climate control panel. We've got the dual zone automatic setup. This is on the vast majority of models except for just the SE, the base model with the gas engine only. Now, as you can see, easy to adjust with those knobs. You also have a 6.6-inch display here for some additional adjustments like your fan speeds. And this is also where you find your heated seats, which are included on all but the base model. And then the limited and above gets you the 3-stage ventilated seats as well. Additionally, you have physical controls for the audio system as well. We've got the Bose premium sound system on board, and let's give it a sample right now. Very nice. Sound quality of the system is quite good. Definitely fills up the cabin nicely, and the real metal speaker grills is a good touch to just kind of add to that, almost Range Rover-y vibe that this Santa Fe is known for. All right, so let's move on to the main screen here. This is a 12.3-inch display. This is standard equipment on every single version. Right now, we're in the wireless Android Auto system. You also, of course, have wireless Apple CarPlay. And then I'll navigate quickly back to the main system itself. This is CCNC, so this is Hyundai's latest infotainment. Pretty quick. Most of the trims also come with integrated navigation as well. And then up top here, you have an auto-dimming mirror with home link remote. The Calligraphy only, that's the one that will give you the digital camera rear view mirror. Then I'll go ahead and open up our sunroofs here. You can see that that's a plural because we've got one in the back and one in the front. The one in the front does open up.
And let's talk about the rear seats of the Santa Fe. Now, this has always been one of this vehicle's strongest suits, and that will, of course, continue for 2026. Space is one of the biggest areas where it's very strong, so let's talk about that first. We're sitting at 42.3 inches of legroom, 40.6 inches of headroom. Those are really absolutely fantastic figures for this segment of vehicle. I believe it is actually the largest offering that you can get. Now, I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. Now, the reason we do that is so you can get a realistic knee room figure. From his driving position, 10 inches of knee room. That is absolutely fantastic. Also, my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats. Now, speaking of the seats themselves, you will notice that we have captain's chairs. That was always standard on the Calligraphy trim level, but new for 2026, it's actually going to also be standard on the limited trim level as well. That means your overall seating capacity is 6 passengers. You can get 7 passengers if you choose the bench seat. Now, that's not all with these captain's chairs. They're quite comfortable, but they're also going to be fully power adjusting. So you'll notice there on the side that we do have the adjustments for our back as well as our seat bottom to raise that up and down. And then we do still have the function of sliding forward and back in a manual fashion to make it nice and easy. Now let's talk about other features, because that's not all, because we have 2 USB-C ports, one in each seat back. We have a little hook right through here. Of course, you can access the front console that way, or you can also go down here below and have like a secret storage compartment right there. And then if you turn over to the door trim, you'll notice a really nice one. So we have rear window sunshades, so that's going to be included on your higher end examples. The materials are the same as the front, so we have a really nice wood trim, leatherette in our armrest portion. You also notice that we have these buttons right here. That's for the 3-stage heated back seats. Those are standard on limited and Calligraphy grades. 2 cup holders, and then even more bottle storage down in the very bottom. Now let's go ahead and check out the third row. Now, it's very rare for a vehicle in this segment to actually have a third row. Typically that's the segment above, but this vehicle does come standard with it. So in order to get back here, you just press this button right here. When you press it, it's going to kind of release the seat and then go ahead and power recline the backrest. Makes for relatively easy entry into the third row itself. And then sitting back here in the third row of the Santa Fe, we're going to have pretty good space figures, actually a lot better than what you would expect in this segment. We're sitting at about 29 inches of rear legroom and about 37 inches of headroom. Now, the headroom is particularly noteworthy because of this vehicle's very boxy shape. The headroom is absolutely fantastic in the third row. The legroom, It's okay. It's not going to be as big as things like the Hyundai Palisade, of course. So with the seat slid all the way back in its tracks, I don't have any additional knee room. And then as far as thigh support is concerned, that's also going to be a little bit lacking. Stay tuned for content coming soon on the all-new Palisade as well. Now, as far as the features, we have vents over here on the side, so you're going to have those in this model. We also have USB ports. It's a USB-C variety, and new for 2026, they've actually lowered that down to SEL trims and above will get the USB ports. Over here on this side, we actually have our own climate controls as well, so that's quite impressive to be included. And then we have a household style outlet. As far as how this rates on the third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for the in-laws. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we do have a hands-free power one on the vast majority of models. And then as we open up the tailgate, you'll find a really good amount of space, guys. About 14 cubic feet is what you can expect behind the third row of seats. If we fold them down, it's really easy to do so. You just grab that little strap right there. That folds it down. About 40 cubic feet of space. And then if you want all the seats folded down, your maximum is about 80 cubic feet. Now, if you're curious as to how that compares to its competition in this two-row midsize SUV segment, you can find all of those at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, the reason you'd go to our website and find that is because we go through all the individual categories such as cargo capacity, interior technology, powertrain, safety, resale and reliability, and you can see what might be your best choices in that vehicle segment. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, do yourself a favor and go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now back to the Santa Fe's cargo area, you will also find these buttons here on the side. That's going to allow you to actually fully power fold the second row of seats down. So you can really do everything pretty simply with the press of a button, which is not a given, that's for sure, in this segment. Now let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So from behind Drew's 5'8" driving position to the rear of the cargo area, we're sitting at 80 inches of overall cargo length. From behind the second row of seats with it slid all the way back, 41 inches. From behind the third row, only about 14 inches. Hyundai was also quick to point out that this is a very wide opening tailgate because of the way they designed it. And indeed it is 49 inches wide. And as far as height, that's also very impressive, sitting at 32 inches. As far as the load-in height, it's sitting at about 30 inches. And then underneath of the cargo floor, you're going to find a little bit of extra space, but do be aware that the hybrid version of the Santa Fe does not have a spare tire. If you get the gas model, you will have a spare tire, but not on the hybrid model. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, and that takes us to 60 miles per hour with the Santa Fe Hybrid. So, as you can see, acceleration is pretty good overall. The Hybrid is a little slower than the traditional gas-powered model, but, as we'll talk about later on, you obviously get that big efficiency gain on board. And as far as, what this hybrid system is made up of, it's a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine paired with your electric componentry. Power is 231 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque, so definitely on the healthy side of things, especially when we're talking about that torque figure.
Yeah, the acceleration certainly isn't bad, but for those of you that want more power, you might actually prefer to stick with the standard engine option. That's going to have more horsepower. That's a 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder. That makes 277 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. Like I said, that's standard equipment on all versions of the Santa Fe, besides for, the models that are selecting the hybrid components like this.
Now, as we accelerated there, this would be a good time to talk about the transmissions. So we kind of mentioned this at the spec dump, but the hybrid comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission. And the news for 2026 is that the traditional gas-powered model now comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It previously had an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. So we look forward to driving that one in the future so we can test how much smoother it is, but we're anticipating that that's going to be certainly a change that will benefit people shopping for the Santa Fe, because dual clutch transmissions have a little bit of a different feel when you're driving, especially at low speeds. You can sometimes feel like a little bit of lurchiness and stuff. So even though this was a pretty good tuned transmission in day-to-day driving, you could still occasionally feel some types of lurches. Yeah. So that should greatly benefit people that are shopping for the Santa Fe in that regard, as well as hopefully, prove maybe to be a little bit more of a reliable transmission as well, since that model did go under recall.
Well, let's go ahead and get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. .8 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading in the Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy. Let's go ahead and see how it compares to rivals at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And indeed, that is very similar to the previous Hyundai Santa Fe's that we have tested out on the channel. It's not quite the quietest option in this segment, but it is a pretty quiet cabin overall. And now that we're just kind of cruising down the road here, I want to take a second to discuss overall ride quality for... or not.
How?
And now I want to take a second to discuss ride quality for the Santa Fe. Now, when it comes to this department, this is a fantastic riding vehicle. For those of you that know, we actually did own the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe for a couple-month period, and during that time, we were incredibly impressed with the ride quality. That's going to continue for 2026. This is a fantastic riding vehicle. It soaks up all but the largest road imperfections. The seats are incredibly comfortable. This is really a great road trip vehicle, and we can speak from firsthand experience with that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely noteworthy because we had the SEL, which is a much lower trim, and even the low-end trim levels have great seats. Like, it was so comfortable driving it all the way down to Florida.
Yeah, and as far as how the power is routed to the ground, you do have standard front-wheel drive or available all-wheel drive across all of the trim levels, besides for the XRT, where all-wheel drive is standard equipment. As far as your fuel economy, of course, that's going to range depending on which engine you select. The standard gas engine, not the hybrid, either comes in at 23 or 24 mpg. The hybrid, though, comes in at 36 mpg with front-wheel drive or 34 mpg with all-wheel drive. So those are really big fuel economy benefits over the standard gas engine, and honestly, I believe the hybrid probably would be where I would put my money. And let's talk about our airball and slam dunk, which is our least favorite element about the 26 Santa Fe. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk?
Yeah, so we're going to say the slam dunk is the 2026 changes. I feel like Hyundai really paid attention to what they believe would really benefit the customer and customer feedback. Making adjustments to the equipment, like giving the dual wireless phone charging pad on more trim levels. I think that's something that a lot of people were looking for.
The con interior and the transmission, I think, are all good improvements. Now, on the flip side, our airball is actually going to be some of those 26 changes that weren't so great. First of all, the price does rise. That's pretty much expected every single model year, so I'm not too surprised by that. But Hyundai did remove the complimentary maintenance for 2026. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in just a little bit, but it used to have 3 years, and now it's down to 0, so not a fan of that change. And let's talk pricing for the Santa Fe. Now, as far as overall price increases, we're seeing about $500 for the gas models this year. The hybrid models will rise about $1,000 on equivalent trim levels, but of course, keep in mind you have that new base SE model this year, which of course lowers your price point down a bit. Now, as you can see, what we have is the fully loaded 2026 Santa Fe Hybrid Calligraphy with all-wheel drive. After we add in quite a lot of accessories on this model, $1,495 destination, we're sitting at $53,250, which basically represents the highest price Santa Fe you can get. Now, if you're looking to buy a Hyundai Santa Fe or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. We even have a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to check all of that out, Once more, you can find that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Hyundai Santa Fe's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 55.3% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 19.6%. Now, it's worth noting those are actually above industry average for resale value percentages. However, it's not going to be quite as good as some of your Japanese rivals such as Toyota, Honda, and Mazda.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. In this regard, Hyundai is rated just ever so slightly below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, there have been some changes for 2026. You still keep the 5-year, 60,000 mile basic warranty, 10-year, 100,000 mile powertrain warranty, but one thing that has been removed is complimentary maintenance. All 2026 Hyundais no longer receive the 3 years of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2026 Hyundai Santa Fe. If you enjoyed watching this video where we detail all the 2026 changes, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and we strive to provide you all with the latest automotive content, even on rollover model year vehicles like this. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.